Hello and welcome to another guide of characters in this case. And today we're gonna take a look at Cizita, also known as Shizu 2128 Delta. But we're not gonna take a look at the one that you're seeing right now. I'm just using that one because it's the only one that has an avatar available for me to use. Today we're gonna take a look at the SSR Cizita, or also known as Tank Cizita, the fearless chariot in this case. We're gonna be taking a look at the skills and try to put them in a simple way. Also the accessories. After that, we're gonna take a look at the awakening levels, the arc light, if it's convenient or not to get it, as well as the relics. What are the relics that I will recommend? What relics the game recommends, and then the attributes and sub attributes. And finally, we're gonna take a look at the characters or compositions that can be played either around her specifically or with her in some kind of combo or synergy. So yeah, uh, going for the basic one, the accessory. The accessories always tells us a little bit, or at least gives us a hint at to what we should upgrade as maybe the primary or the secondary stat on our relic attributes. We can see that at tier 3 we're gaining 5% reduction to the damage over time. At level or tier 6 we're obtaining 10% more HP. And at level 9 or tier 9, 10% extra defense. This one is physical defense instead of magical defense, so don't get confused. Now, we're seeing right now that I don't have her max. Arglide is only 1 star out of 6, and the character is 4 stars out of 6, but still at a decent combat power, and it works very well for me. Now, taking a look at the basic attributes, we're able to see that she has very poor attack, and it makes sense because she's a tank. She's not supposed to be dealing tons of damage. So that is not really important that she has a C on attack. And we can see that she has A on physical defense, A on HP or health, and she has double S, one S on magical defense, and another S on speed. What does this tell us? Well, that she is an anti-magus. She is a magical defense specialized tank. So that already tells us what kind of characters we can play her against and into. So now the skills, because this character can be played or combined with literally a ton of other characters, with really like the majority of the characters in the game probably. The basic attack is the precision strike. She basically does damage based on half or her max attack and certain percentage of her magical defense that increases depending on the level, and has a basic chance to inflict taunt on the target for 1 round. That means when an enemy is taunted, that when the turn of that enemy comes, the enemy is not able to throw any skill, neither defensive or offensive skill. They only throw a normal attack immediately, and that's it. The enemy probably loses their turn, unless the enemies purify the enemy that is taunted. So we're already seeing that the basic attack already has utility, has taunt, and is basic chance. So the basic chance gets influenced by effect precision and effect resistance. That means that effect precision is a valuable attribute on this character. Then I'm gonna go directly to the skill, and after that I'm gonna go to the passive. The Fire Scout is the skill, the first skill of the character. She does magical damage equal to certain percentage of her attack and magical defense. Hitting grants 100% basic chance to inflict tracking beacon on the target for 3 rounds. That is notable because the majority of characters, when they put a debuff, only last for 2 rounds. This one lasts for 3 rounds. And when the enemies have this, the the tracking beacon, it's the debuff that the game tells us here on the top left. It's a debuff that cannot be purified. That means if Pestonia or Anniversary Albedo or someone like that ults to heal and purify the character, that is not gonna be able to get purified. The debuff is gonna stay there. So when this is on the enemies, they have a 50% basic chance to be inflicted with taunt before action. It's almost like the basic attack, the precision strike. What does this mean is that if you throw that skill, the fire scout, to the enemy, and then you pay close attention, normally when you taunt someone, for like example, you use tank albedo and you taunt an enemy, you're gonna see that a debuff that says taunted appears on the enemies, and a special symbol that is like pulsating in color red appears above the character's head. That means that they're taunted. When you use this skill, that doesn't appear because the enemy is not taunted yet. Only when the enemy takes action, that means when the enemy gets their turn, it doesn't include counter attacks, assist, or chases. Only when they get their proper turn, this 50% basic chance applies, and if you get lucky because you have, let's say, a lot of effect precision, then the taunt is gonna appear right before the enemy attacks, and the enemy is gonna be forced to use throw and auto attack, a basic attack, instead of a skill. So this is kind of like the counter to purify characters, to healers, and so, because when an enemy is taunted, the enemy immediately knows, and they instantly try to purify it with their healers or something like that, or a tank, like Tankokyutos that can purify some debuffs. Well, this doesn't appear right away, so even if the enemy purifies themselves in anticipation, it doesn't work. At the last moment, this activates and you can taunt or don't succeed on that. So you already have control on the basic attack. You already have the chance to control again with the second skill. You already see that this character is based on defending from magical defense and controlling the enemies. Now, the passive. She provides supplies to the allies during the battle. Before an ally acts, that means when your characters get their respective turns on the battlefield, there is a 100% fixed chance to apply supplies to the ally. The supplies can trigger one on the following effects. That means that one advantage or one buff it's gonna apply to your allies when they get a turn. They can get the med pack. If the target has debuffs, it's gonna purify one debuff. The game doesn't say it right here, but what I have noticed by using her is that mostly, or at least on my case, this med pack purifies the control debuffs, like prioritizes them. Multiple times I have an ally that is under 3 or 4 debuffs, like speed down, stun, also defense down, and critical damage down or critical chance down. And then when the supplies activate, almost all the time the debuff that gets purified is the control one. In that case, is the stun one. So take in consideration that you probably have like a little bit of priority on purifying the control buff. Control debuffs are the stun, the freeze, the taunt, and the silence, or those four. Well, and then is the armor pack. If the target health is below half their HP, it's gonna grant a shield that is equal to 70% of Shizu magical defense for 2 rounds. That means that if you have a lot of magical defense, you're gonna give a very thick shield. And then there is the ammo pack. This is usually the supply that you get on your very first turn. That means that increases the attack and damage dealt by 12% for 1 round, stackable up to 2 times. And upon reaching 3 supplies that an ally receives, reduces a random skill cooldown of the ally by 1 round. That means when an ally gets 3 turns and by default 3 supplies, 1 random skill is gonna have the cooldown reduced by 1. So you have like a mini Bear Mario set effect right there. And well, 5 stars, it tells you that when Cicita takes damage, all allies are gonna receive 1 supply. Can only happen 1 every 4 actions. So when she tanks, she's at 5 stars, also able to give supplies to the to the allies before they get a turn. Sorry for the cough and all of that. I'm sick and I'm still recording these things just because I'm a little bit bored. But anyway, so this character passively is buff in your allies. Depending if the enemies have debuffs, she's gonna try to purify at least one of them. If your allies are full HP and they don't have any disadvantage, any debuff, she's gonna amplify their damage by 12%, and that can be stacked 2 times. And if your characters are low in HP, she's gonna give shields based on her magical defense to the allies. So she's like multi-purpose. She can help your character survive when they're low HP, she purifies, and she increases damage at the start of the battle. Now, the ultimate skill, the Fire Owl, it's an area of effect debuff skill. That means that it hits everyone on the screen, no matter if you're facing 1 or 5 or 6 enemies. She's gonna hit everyone. Deals damage equal to half of her total attack and half her total magical defense. When she attacks, it grants 100% basic chance to inflict damage down and coordinate lock on all the targets by 2 rounds. Damage down, basically the enemies deal 20% less damage, and the coordinate lock is right here. When Sisita ally is attacked by a character with coordinate lock, Sisita will perform the support. Support is what SR Yuri or the PDL or the guy with the shield from the Theocrasis lane, what they do. That is that when an enemy is attacking your ally with a single target skill, like let's say Momon Ultimate, in this case, if the enemy has the coordinated lock debuff on them, she's just gonna jump right from where she is in front of the ally that is gonna get hit, and instead she gets the hit. This can be countered by things like Nigredo Ultimate or Seshi Ultimate when she's faster than the target, in this case Shizu, or this is especially punished by SSR Entoma, because she can attack the 2 enemies at the same time. Like if I focus, I don't know, Mare, and Shizu jumps in the way to block the attack, Entoma can hit both targets at the same time and applies a special debuff to both of them. So if you see SSR, Entoma, Nigredo, Mate Albedo, or Seshi on the enemy team, you have to be very careful because they can either bypass the support that Shizu offers, or they can just punish her for supporting the allies, in the case of Entoma. But yeah, continuing with the skill, at the start of each wave, this means when the match just starts, Sisita is gonna perform an additional saturated assault with damage reduced by 50%. This basically is that just as the game starts, before you can even take action or before even the enemy can take action, an ultimate from Shizu or Sisita is gonna apply. So she ults for free at the start of the game without wasting the cooldown of her ultimate. So if you have her to play right in the first turn, then you can ult again. This is just to deal a little bit of extra damage at the very start of the game, and to see if you can apply the coordinated lock from the very get-go to the enemies. Also, the targets in coordinated lock, the one that I already told you, where Shizu is gonna jump in the way of the enemies, targets in that state deal 10% less damage and take 20% more magical damage. So the enemies get weaker to magical damage and they deal a little bit less damage. And targets in the coordinated lock or the tracking beacon. The tracking beacon is this one where you have a chance to taunt the enemy before they take action. Enemies on those debuffs or states deal 20% less damage to Sisita. So in combination, this deals area of effect damage to everyone on the team and the enemy team. Aside of that, you have a chance to taunt them before they play. Also, they deal 10% less damage, take 20% more magical damage, and they even do 20% less damage to Sisita specifically. And they have damage down. So they have 20% reduced damage from damage down, then another 10% from the targeting coordinated lock state. So that is that they do 30% less damage, and if they attack Cicita or she gets in the way because the enemies are on coordinate lock or trekking beacon state, they also do another 20% less damage. So they do 30% less damage to all your team, a total of 50% less damage to Shizu or Cicita specifically, and they receive 20% more magical damage. So the enemies get very very weak and vulnerable to magical damage. Also at 6 stars, each hit of the ultimate grants a 50% basic chance to inflict the Dragon Beacon on all targets. So you not only have one chance when she's 6 stars to down the enemies, but you have like 4 chances. And she also has a captain skill, something that some characters have, but not all of them. When Shizu or Cicera is in battle, and she is designated as the captain, because you can only have one captain at the time, all enemies' magical defense decreases by 15%, and all allies' magical defense increases by 15%. So, if you put her as the captain, you're basically having her against mages. You turn her in an anti-mage character, because here you reduce 50% the magical defense on the enemy. With the ultimate, you also make them receive 20% more. And you're still giving an increase of 50% to your allies of magical defense. That combined with the 30% less damage that they're gonna be doing to the enemies to your team, the fact that Shizu can tank, and also because of the passive she can heal, she can give she can shield, sorry, or increase the attack or a debuff. You see that this character is a tank but a support at the same time. It's very very good at what it does. And also we're gonna go right now, I will say, to the arc light, because yeah, here is the effect that we're missing. The arc light increases the health, the attack, and the defense in percentage. This is the physical one, not the magical defense. And the exclusive effect with Shizu is that when she gains supplies, or her allies gain supplies, that means the passive skill, there is a 25% fixed chance that all the effects can be evaluated to trigger. That means that you have a chance that when an ally gets a turn, they're gonna get a shield, they're gonna get one debuff purified, and they're gonna get increased attack. So that's why the 12% increased damage from her supplies says that can be stacked 2 times, because it can trigger once, and then because of the arc light can trigger again. So a total of 24% increased attack. And also, when she enters battle, she gains 50% effect precision for 1 round. And when an ally of Cicita, or when she gains supplies, she's gonna recover 5% of her total HP. Can be triggered once per action. That means once every time a character gets a turn. So also when someone gets supplies, she's healing. So she's a tank that can heal herself all the time, like constantly she's healing herself. So what does this mean? Well, it's an anti-mage character, it's an anti-mage tank specifically, that doesn't need really a healer, because she heals herself, she can shield herself or allies, she protects them with a support skill, she also purifies 1 debuff at the time, she also increases the damage, and she can trigger all of that at the same time if you get lucky with the arc light. You can taunt the enemy with the basic attack or the second skill or even the ultimate. You have a chance, and that means a lot. You have a tank that controls, that heals, that supports, and the tanks, of course. So you can go into some compositions without needing a healer or a support character, because she can fill that role if your composition or your teams don't depend on a specific support, like, let's say, Pandora's Actor or Anniversary Albedo. Now, the Awakening, as you can see, I don't have her very high on the Awakening level. I have her halfway, level 15 out of 30 levels. But this is what I recommend you. As you can see, it's the same thing. On the first slot, there is also the one that repeats at level 20. Give her magical defense, the one that increases it by percentage. Because it's way better to increase the magical defense by 1% on a character that has thousands of points in magical defense that increasing it by 12 points, just 12 points. So give the one that increases it on percentage because she is an anti-mages, and we see that she scales with health, attack, and magical damage on these skills. So the more sorry, not magical damage, magical defense. She scales with health, attack, and magical defense. So the more magical defense you give her, the more she's gonna scale. So that's why I would recommend you that here. On the second one, I will say the same. Give her magical defense, or if you prefer it as the second option, you could give her effect precision. And the same slot applies on level 25, so you can have one with magical defense, other with effect precision. In my case, I already use the ones of effect precision on other characters, so I'm opting for just a little bit of magical defense on her. But either way works because all the towns that she can put on the coordinated state lock and all of that, the tracking beacon, all of them depend on the effect precision. That's why the Arclight gives her 50% effect precision on the first turn. So the more effect precision you can give her, the better. So here you're gonna decide. If you already have a lot of effect precision on her because of the relics and so, go for magical defense. But if you don't have, you could use here the effect precision. The one at level 15, I will say magical defense, so you keep the character scaling more and more. And because level 20 and 25 repeat with 1 and 2, well, level 1 and 5, sorry, slots 1 and 2, you can repeat what I told you. And level 30, you can use the specialized tank rune that is reduction to the damage over time if you want her to suffer way less from things like shock, bleed, or burn. But I would recommend you to either go for HP or magical defense if you have it. In my case, I will, for example, give her HP if I have her at level 30. Now, the relics. The relic that I have, the relic set that I will recommend is the Red Dragon. This one, Red Dragon set. It gives an increase of 15% HP when she has the sparkle combination. That means that all the relics are prismatic, the maximum quality, and gives you the special effect that after being attacked, she gains a 20% chance to reduce the cooldown of a random skill by 1 round. Can be triggered once per round. That means that she has a chance to having either the ultimate or the second skill faster than usual. And we already saw how useful the ultimate is and how much the ultimate offers to the overall gameplay or the compositions or strategies that you could make by controlling the enemy or making them do less damage and receive more damage and all of that. So if you have the chance to throw the ultimate more often than usual thanks to this set, I will strongly use this one. That's why for me this is the best set on Cisita. But the game also recommends you the Starling and the Champion set. Champion set we know is like for pure tanks, increases the max HP and recovers max HP after action. That means every time she does an action, every time she attacks or something, she's gonna heal. I don't consider it very necessary because she already heals herself with the arc light. And if the enemy spot something like, for example, a healing block and then the enemies stun her, the supplies are gonna prioritize purifying the stun on Cisita instead of the healing block. So that means that she's not gonna be able to heal with either the arc light or a champion set. That's why I don't use it, even when HP also is good for her because she's a tank, of course she needs HP. But the Red Dragon set also gives HP. And the Sterling set I do not recommend it because it increases the physical defense. The game here doesn't tell you specifically physical defense, but we see that when magical defense is mentioned or when that is like a specific stat needed, it says M and then diff. And when only says diff is defense, meaning the physical defense. So it's increasing something that she doesn't scale with, that is the physical defense, and it's gonna apply 5% or 7.5 depending on the quality of the set of the defense boost to the rest of the team. That means the other members of the team where you put Shizu are gonna get an increase on their physical defense based on the percentage that she has. And because she scales with magical defense, I do not see this as an optimal one. I will say that either go with Red Dragon set or with the Warrior set. Yeah, also increases the defense, I know, but it gives you the chance to receive less damage when she gets attacked. I will use warrior set if I'm in a composition where only Sisita is my only tank, only in those circumstances. But if you have her alongside other tanks or support on the same team, I will go with the red dragon set. It's way more useful for her. Now, the attributes, the ratings, as you can see here, 3 out of the 4 that appear here are the ideal one for her. I'm gonna start with the one that is useful, beyond critical damage. That is useful. That is useless, sorry, don't use it, never. But you can see here that I have A on HP, A on speed, and A on magical defense. You need those 3, because we already saw that she has an S on magical defense and speed. Those are her best attributes. So if you can give an increase of those attributes with the relics, that's way too good. And A on HP. We already saw that she has A on HP as well. So you're increasing exactly what she scales with and exactly her best stats in at least this case. Um, Now with the other parts of the armor or the relic set in this case, as you can see here, I have again Eon magical defense, Eon speed, Eon critical damage. They're useless. Sorry, and Beyond defense. Okay, a little bit of defense so she doesn't fall behind on the physical defense department. That way, assassins like Momon or Maid Albedo don't counter her that easily. And the weapon, A on speed, A on HP, again, some of the best stats on her. B on effect resistance, so she's harder to control or put on their debuff effects. The more effect resistance, the harder it is for the enemy to apply any kind of debuff or disadvantage on you. Okay, it's not bad. C on magical defense, sadly, only C. If that was an S or at least an A, it would be really good. But as you can see here, I don't really have that many prismatic red dragon holy swords, and not a lot of them give magical defense alongside other special stats that you need like speed or HP. But this is not a good relic on the rating department, but it is good on what is the sub attribute, the stats. And then the base, I'm using here a Maxim base because I found this better than the others that I have. A on magical defense, A on reduction to the damage over time, A on effect precision, and S on speed. Again, magical defense, speed, the best stats for her. Reduction to the damage over time is not bad in case that the enemy effectively puts shock, bleed, or burn on her. She's gonna receive less damage from that. And effect precision. Effect precision is really good on her because remember, all the control that she puts, the towns and so, depend on the enemies having that debuff, and all of your skills have basic chance. That means that the more effect precision you have, the more likely you are to put the debuff on the enemy. So, what would I recommend you to level up or to give her on the relics, aside of the set that is the Red Dragon set? I will say try to focus on speed as your first thing, or your second if you're gonna play her with another character that is really speedy like Seshi. But at least speed is gonna be either your first or your second priority. Your first priority in those cases, in the majority of cases, it's gonna be magical defense because everything about her scales with that. Then you have to put or prioritize, depending on your luck, either HP and effect precision or effect precision and HP, depending on your luck with the relics and all of those things. Like for example, like here I had a lot of effect precision but very low HP and nothing of magical defense and nothing of speed, so I opted for the one on the left right now. In my case, as you can see right now, I focused speed on her because when I got her, I didn't have any character that was S on speed. This was like my speedy character when I played on the arena and things like that. So that's why I went all out on speed from her and not that much on magical defense because uh, I didn't really worried about suffering against magical damage teams on the enemy side. But if you can focus magical defense a little bit more than speed, than the speed, then you go for HP and effect precision. Those are your dream stats for her, because she doesn't need attack. Physical defense, yeah, she can lag. She can be kind of countered by that. But if you play her with something that I'm gonna recommend you later, like the Robo Hamuske, then you get covered on that department and you don't need anything on that. And critical damage resistance is not really something that she requires, or critical chance resistance also not really useful for her. Effect resistance and effect resistance can be useful, yes. It's not the best, but it's not really bad. It's just like mediocre on her. And effect precision is very valuable, very valuable on her. So yeah, those will be like the stats that I would recommend you. So we see that she is an anti-mages character. She is a tank that also can work as a mini support for your team, and she also is able to basically play as a speedy character to assure you that you get the first turn on the play on the multiplayer, for example, where it's very useful. Sometimes your victory or your defeat depends on who plays first on the multiplayer, especially in the high levels. So you can use her in a variety of situations. Now, the enchantments for the relics. I don't really have the best because I just throw whatever I have on her and see if I got lucky or not. And I don't have the correct enchantments upgraded on her, but you can see that I have some on her. One of the first ones that I'm gonna recommend you is the Unerring Shot, because it gives you effect precision, and from level 6 to level 10, it's also giving you speed. So for example, I'm gonna be showing you right now my Nigredo. Nigredo has a star set, is not what I would recommend on Shizu, for example, but she has something really good that you should try to replicate on her, and it's this: Unitary Shot level 10. That means effect precision 40% increased and 10 points on speed. Imagine you get that. Your Shizu will have 40% of effect precision just from the enchantments, then an extra 50% on the first round from your arc light, and then any extra effect precision you could put in either awakening levels or the relics of attributes. You could really got her to easily on the first round over 100% effect precision. Like for example, you can aim to have this level of effect precision that I have on Entoma. 118.4% effect precision. You're guaranteed that you're gonna be putting the debuff on the enemy. And from the other rounds, you could, when you lose the effect precision from your arc light, you could get her to something like this, like my normal Albedo. You really need effect precision on her, on Shizu. So my first recommendation for you will be Uniring Shot, so you increase effect precision and the speed on the character. And if you're wondering why I don't try to replicate what I have on Nigredo on Cicita, it's because it's really hard to get level 6 and more from a specific enchantment. You need to throw a lot of resources, a lot of prisms, or a lot of elixirs that are legendary or prism at the very least, or to get very lucky. And I am not lucky on that department. And I use Cicita just for some teams. She's not like my best tank or what I prioritize or my best character, so I give her what the best I have. No, but if you're planning on having her as your main tank or your late game character and so, yeah, prioritize her. But in my case, because I don't do that, well, she isn't. Also, let me find. Effect resistance with Indestructible Fortress is not bad, honestly, but it's not the best thing that you can get her. The best will be aside of Unerring Shot, Endless Cycle, because you're increasing her HP. And from level 6 to level 10, you're also increasing the HP, not only in a flat amount, but also in percentage. Like level 10 is 20% extra HP. That's wild. That's a lot, really. I have, for example, here play with fire because I usually play this character, Sisita, with another character that puts burn. So when she attacks and then the other puts burn and Shizu ults after it, I'm increasing the damage a little bit. It's not the best a tank increasing his damage, but at least it's useful for me because I make the combination from using this Shizu, the tank version, with some burn team members. In my case, usually is normal Albedo. What else? Here, if you can increase as your second or your third option after a Neuron Shot, of course, if you can increase Fortitude Mag, is the best in the case of defenses because you scale more in this case with magical defense than with physical defense. Is the best out of the two. So you're increasing the magical defense, and from level 6 to level 10, you're also increasing the magical defense in percentage, not only in a flat amount. Exactly the same values that with HP on Endless Cycle. So with this, you're making Shizu scale with either health or magical defense from Endless Cycle or Fortitude Mag. And she scales very, very well with those stats because she's a tank based on magical defense. Aside of what it be, sorry, aside of what it is, Unirin Shot, Endless Cycle, and Fortitude damage, there you can put whatever you have. And if you want to be, a bit playful, like I am, that I play for fun and so, you can put this one, the one hit kill, because increases the damage of area of effect skills. That means that the ultimate that Shizu throws at the very start of each match has this increase of damage. And when you ult again, every ult that you use is also gonna enjoy this increment on the damage. Like for example, I don't have one level. You can have level 3, for example. If you combine a level 3 one hit kill of Tishizu with a lot of magical defense and the raw Hamuske, the ult of a tank, in this case Shizu, is gonna be dealing a lot of damage to all the enemies on screen. Literally. So those will be my recommendations. I know there is a lot of enchantments that you could get, like you can see Blade Draw. I just got that by luck and I leave it there. You can get Indestructible and so, but those are not needed on Shizu. That's why I'm only recommending you a small amount, because being realistic, you're more likely to be able to focus on one, two, maybe even three enchantments on a specific character and achieve them. You will be more likely to achieve that if I tell you you have to focus on these 6 or these 7 enchantments, and if you try, you're probably gonna fail because you're gonna get all of them to level 3, level 4, nothing on level 6 and up. That is where the real bonus get to your character. Well, that is where the real bonifications appear. Now, the last part, the compositions or characters that you can play around Cicita. The most easy one to tell you is the meta team. The meta team consists on Victim, because he does a lot of damage and stuns the enemies. With Cicita, they play on each other's sides because one is a tank, other is a mage. Shizu lowers the enemy magical defense. Victim also lowers the enemy magical defense even more, and he does full magical damage and he can crit by a lot. Victim is literally a nuke on the game. So you're combining one of the most powerful mages on the game with one of the anti-mages on the game. One anti-mage tank on the same team. That is a lot of damage. Also, the meta team has Seshi. She does a lot of critical damage, physical critical damage. Usually gains the first turn on the match, and she can offer a little bit of control with stuns, and she can chase. The last member of the meta team is this, the Rohamuski. She in this case increases the physical defense on all of her allies. She puts high tier defense down. That means that lowers the physical defense on the enemies by 40%. Does area of effect does a lot of damage, increases the damage of everyone on her team based on her physical defense, so everyone gains an increase on damage, and also she can stun the enemies with the second skill and with the shield wall effect of her ultimate ends. So she can offer two stuns to the enemies. Also, when she stuns, she throws back the turn meter of the enemy that she hits. So you have two tanks, one for each kind of damage, like one against physical damage, sorry, and other against magical damage. And then you have two damage dealers, one from magical damage, another that does physical damage. You're combining a lot of powerhouses right there. Not only that, but three out of the four characters are very fast. As you can see, this tank has S on speed. Cizeta has S on speed as well. And then you go to Seshi and she has S on speed once again. The only one that doesn't have S is Victim. He has B. If you want to experiment with variations of the meta team, you can put instead of Victim, for example, the new Momon, this one. He does a lot of damage. He does magical damage, and he can crit for both physical and magical damage. So he enjoys and he gets a lot of benefits from having both tanks that I already told you. Has S on attack just like Victim, but he has S on speed. So you could have the meta team that I told you, like the normal one, and then you can have a meta speedy team, a meta team that everyone has S on speed, so everyone is gonna play very, very often. And this character is immune to death. When this character is about to die, he becomes immune to death for one round. In all damage that he receives, he converts it into HP. And that skill has a low cooldown of 6 rounds, that if someone dies, it gets reduced by 2 rounds. So if you can manage to kill enemies while your Momon is in a vulnerable state, he's gonna be able to get back in the game almost full HP. He's gonna be able to keep doing more damage and have a good chance of actually being able to avoid death for a second time if you play your cards correctly. So you have sorry, you have a meta team, you have a speedy team that is also meta team. If you want a more traditional team that you could use, a mage team with characters that are kind of easy to get. In this case will be, for example, Albedo, this version, the original one. She does area of effect, magical damage, she puts burn on the enemy, she reduces the healing the enemies get, and she puts damage aggravation. Damage aggravation makes the enemies with that state receive like 30 or 40% extra damage. So she's a mage that increases the mage, all the damage that all of the allies of Mage Albedo have. So also you can put her as a captain and increases everyone's damage by 10% instead of Shizu increasing the magical defense. If you wanna go all out, you can use Albedo. Another character that could be in a mage or full magical damage team with Shizu is Entoma. Almost everyone has her because she's an SR character. She also has S on attack, she has A on speed, just like Albedo, so you still have fast characters on your team. And she can put bleed or shock depending on what attack you prefer on Entoma. She can either hit a lot of enemies with an area of effect spell, or you can focus a multi-hit attack that is gonna put a lot of bleed stacks in a single target. So you can use her to focus one single enemy or multiple enemies. You can use Idol Shelter as well. A lot of magical damage. She's a finisher, so when an enemy is low in HP, she's gonna try to kill it with extra damage, and she throws the turn meter of the enemy's back. So you punish the enemy. Yeah, you make it more difficult for them to play. You punish the enemies, especially if they are slow. You can also use Mare, the normal version. A lot of magical damage. He throws the turn meter of the enemy's back with the second skill on and his arc light. And he also offers a little bit of healing to your team in case you don't want to play with a healer. And not only that, but every time an enemy dies, Mare's skills are gonna be dealing more damage. So as soon as you get one kill, you're starting to ramp up your damage. Other character that you can put there is the normal Demiurge, this one. He also does area of effect magical damage, burn damage. He, alongside Albedo, are the core members of the burn team, the burn damage team. So you can also use Demiurge. You want, for example, Demiurge, Albedo, Tank Sisita as your main characters, and then you put Entoma. You can have an enemy, well, a team that is based on doing burn damage, does area of effect damage, so you hit all the enemies at the same time. You can bypass tanks that have, for example, shield wall and share or shield wall and support as the defensive stats that they offer. And with Entoma, you can also put bleed and shock on the enemy, so you assure that the enemies have all the damage over time debuffs on the same time. Or if you don't want Entoma, you can put Pestonia. You can use Pestonia with her Arc Light to reduce the cooldown of a character. Like, for example, a very easy combo that you can pull off is Pestonia, Cicita, the tank version, Albedo, the mage version, and the normal Demiurge. You ult with Cicita, then I get a turn with Albedo. I use the ultimate with Albedo, so I put burn on everyone. I do magical damage to everyone. Then I use any other mage that I have, like in this case, for example, the Murge, so I do more burn damage. Pestonia is the slowest character of the team, in that case, because she has Sion speed. And then I use Pestonia ultimate on Albedo, even if I don't need the healing, because her Arc Light is gonna increase the turn meter of Albedo, and that will almost guarantee that Albedo will have a turn right after Pestonia, even when Albedo just used her turn. So you're giving her almost instantly a second turn, and you reduce one cooldown of the ultimate of Albedo. And then when she gets a turn, she reduces it another turn. That means that she will be able to ult again very fast. And if you don't get lucky with the cooldown reduction of Pestonia reducing 2 rounds, you can instantly use the damage aggravation from Albedo on the second turn. So by the time she gets the third turn, almost all the other characters will only be on their second turn, so she is ahead one entire round of everyone, and she will have the ultimate on the third turn instead of a basic attack. So you can put burn again, you can put a healing reduction on everyone, and you do a lot of magical damage. All the while Cicita is tanking, giving increments on damage, and she is lowering the enemy's magical defense. That's a mage combo that you can pull off with Cicita. The only hard character aside of her that you could struggle to get is Pestonia. But you can use another mage instead of Pestonia to go all out on damage, because you still have some days to get this version of Cicita. So she is not that hard to get right now. Other characters that you could use, it's a variation of the meta team. For example, you can have Cicita, you can have Big Team, Seshi, but instead of the Hamuske to boost Seshi, you could use this Albedo. You can use the Anniversary Albedo because she is healing, she offers shields, she offers 2 invulnerabilities to anyone who is close to death, and she offers an Indomitable, another way of avoiding death, and increases the critical damage. So you can use it to boost either Seshi or to boost Victim. In this case, will be a Victim with critical chance. So Cicita increases victim damage alongside Anniversary Albedo. That means victim is gonna explode by hundreds of thousands of damage. Or if you don't have victim, you have Momon. Well, in this case, the same but for Momon. You can also combine her with Tank Albedo. You will use Cicita and her speed to guarantee the first turn. Then you try to taunt as much enemies as you can with the ultimate, and when you get your turn with Albedo, because she's not very fast in this version, you can use her to guarantee a full enemy team taunted. You can taunt 2 enemies with Cicita, which is ultimate, and then if 2 enemies resist it because they have a lot of effect resistance or whatever, you can throw Albedo to guarantee the taunt on one enemy, and depending on your effect precision, you're gonna be able to taunt the second one, and that way you can have an entire enemy team taunted. So you make them waste their turn, and you still have the turns of two other characters that could be whatever you have or whoever you want as your damage dealers trying to kill the enemies. So you have, sorry for the noise. So you have right there a good option to make the enemies waste their turn, their rounds, and you will have all the chances or all the freedom that you want to finish the enemy off. Other compositions that you could use aside of just a normal mage team, a speedy team, and the meta team are kind of like a shock team. That means that you should, in that case, use this version of Narverol, the original one, the Nave version, this one, the one with the cloak, and you could use either uh, SR Entoma, the one that I already showed you, this one, or instead you could use any kind of healer that is offensive, like Pandora's Actor, in absence of Pestonia, because Pestonia with the Arclight makes combo with literally everyone. So a shock team, you could decide either or Shizu Captain Skill to lower enemies' magical defense, or you can go with Narverol Captain Skill that says that when enemies have shock, they have their magical defense reduced by 30%. This is the double that what Shizu does, but it loses the 15% increased magical defense. So you trade, if you put Narverol as the captain, you trade 15% magical defense increase in you transfer that same amount into extra enemy magical defense decreasement when you put shock on the enemy. And the magic or the special thing about this team is that you have Shizu as your first character to play because she has an S. You try to taunt the enemy to put coordinated lock and all of that. After that, you have Entoma turn because she has A on speed, as you can see. You use the skill, the ultimate skill of Entoma to boost her own damage and increase her own amount of talismans. Depending on your stars, you're gonna have a lot or way less talismans than me. I can have 7 talismans just as she starts the game. You're gonna be able to have at least 3 or 4. That is still enough to throw the second skill. So you use the ultimate of Entoma to boost her own potential, her own performance, and then you throw the second skill of Entoma. That is an area of effect skill that is gonna hit everyone and has a very high chance of putting shock on the enemies. And if you had good effect position on her, it's basically guaranteed that the enemies are gonna have shock. Then you're gonna have to play either Narberal or Nave with the Cloak because both have B on speed and they have almost the same amount. I would recommend you to try and have a little bit more speed in Narveral, the original version, if you're gonna play the shock team with Shizu. So she is able to throw the ultimate, is gonna do area of effect damage again, is gonna try to burst everyone because she has high attack, and she is gonna, if the enemies already have shock because Entom a second skill, Narberal is gonna do extra damage with her ultimate. And if she is 6 stars, she's also gonna do again extra damage because of her ultimate upgrade on the 6 star makes her deal damage equal to the number of stacks of shock on all enemies multiplied by 30% of attack to all the enemies. So you put shock with Entoma after Shizu controls them and lowers their magical defense with the ultimate. Then you use then Entoma to do damage, put shock on everyone. Then Narberol to do even more damage and to punish the enemies for having shock by not having them high effect resistance. And ideally, you have Nave as your last turn. She does critical damage. She does high amounts of normal attack in case you don't crit. And yeah, she doesn't do full magical damage like the others because she's a ranger, but thanks to her skills, she's able to kill the enemies very easy. Like when the enemies are low in HP, she increases her damage and her critical chance when the enemies are below 40% HP. Ideally, you want to have the enemies low in HP after Narberal turn and after uh, and after Entoma's turn. And as you can see, the arclet of Nave increases the ultimate damage by certain amount of critical chance, and increases all subsequent damage by 20%. So when you get to the last turn with Nave, you throw her ultimate on the enemy with the lowest HP possible, even if it's not the enemy that you want to prioritize and kill. So that way, the enemy gets under 40% HP when Nave attacks. She performs the ultimate again because when the enemies are that low, she throws a second ultimate. If you have good enough critical chance or good enough damage, that is gonna kill the enemy, and that is gonna provoke the passive skill of Nave to throw another ultimate to the enemy with the lowest HP after the one that has been killed. And if you get lucky, you can make like a, a chain reaction where Nave kills someone, then kills the second one, then the third one, then the third one, and you clear the floor with the enemy like that. And if you don't get lucky, you at least kill one, and by the second round of turns, Narval's second skill hits twice. Hits one normally, but she hits twice if the enemy already had shock, and she can hit a random target as well. So you're dealing extra damage to enemies that still have shock. Entoma can put shock on everyone again with her second skill in case the enemies purify themselves, and then you still have Nave to do another damage with her second skill, and she can kill someone and still make the chain reaction by attacking again with the second skill to the next target, and still, make a combo boost like Momon, kill everyone with the same skill. So you have the option of a shock team in that case. What will be these characters? The only thing you will have to decide is, depending on your situation, if you want to go all out using Narveral Captain skill, or if you want to have a little bit more defense with Shizu Captain skill. Aside of that, you can go with this solution, the SSR solution. She is a very fast character. She has a lot of attack. You can go full critical damage with her or full attack, whatever you prefer, depending on your relics and so. But you can also use her right after Shizu. So Shizu lowers everyone magical defense, and solution capitalizes, hitting everyone. Also, if someone is about to die, either Shizu by tanking too much or by solution getting destroyed by area of effect skills or something like that, where Shizu cannot protect, she can offer a way to avoid that. She covers someone with slime when it's about to die, and if they don't, they recover all of the HP. And if the enemy doesn't kill them after one round passes, or after the ally that is covered in slime kills someone, if they don't kill them fast enough, they're gonna revive. So solution can, in certain cases, revive Shizu or revive herself, and you can combine that solution with any magical damage character that you want. That could be Maret, could be the Mirage, that could be Idol Shelter, could be Entoma, Shock Team members, Big Team, that could be the new Momon. Like, for example, with the new Momon, you combine two characters that are immune to death on the first time. You can also use a very, very hard team to get. What is that? A very hard team to get because characters are limited and so, and also a team that is very hard to kill is Tank Sisita. She's a tank. If you play her into mages, they're gonna have a really hard time killing her, if they ever kill her to begin with. So you have a really, really nice tank playing into all of her advantages. Then you play Momon. Momon gets boosted by Shizu because the enemy's control won't be able to hit Momon or kill him. And because they have lower defenses, Momon is gonna be able to throw more magical damage with his ultimate. That his ultimate also ignores 50% of the defense of the enemy. So these two combine very, very well. Then you put Victim. Victim can stun people with his ultimate. He lowers the enemy magical defense with the second skill, and he does a lot of damage, either by normal or critical damage. And then you can put Solution. I would recommend you in those cases to put Sisita as your captain instead of Solution. What Solution offers with her captain skill is this. A solution turn meter boost by 50% after the first action. That means even if the enemy has the first turn. It reduces all the enemies' turn meter by 25% after solution first action. So when she plays, enemies get thrown back. I would prefer Cizita because solution only offers you an advantage that can be applied one time. And a little increase on your speed, at the start of the game. While Cizita increases your magical defense and lowers the enemy magical defense all the game. At least until she dies. So with this team, you're making the enemies having to worry about what to do. If they focus victim, when victim dies, he explodes, does damage, increases everyone's attack on victim's death, and he can stun them. He can stun the enemies. And if he has his arc light, he can revive, get a turn, throw more damage, and if the enemies kill him by a counter attack or whatever, or collateral damage there, when he dies, he explodes again. So if they focus victim with either skills that can bypass Shizu defense or with area of effect, if victim dies, they focus him, the enemies suffer because he's gonna do a lot of damage. Even when dead, and he can revive. If they focus Momon, Momon has an invulnerability to death. When he's gonna die, he starts absorbing all the incoming damage and converting it into HP. So if an enemy throws all of his combos into Momon to kill him fast, they can drop Momon HP down to 1 point, yes, and immediately heal him back to 80-90% max HP. So they have to wait an entire round until Momon turn passes, so they will have a chance at killing him again. And if Momon gets to kill multiple people, or Momon's team does that, he's gonna have that skill ready to go again fast. And if they focus Solution, when she's about to die, is gonna cover herself on slime and get a second life. So they have to kill her a second time, or survive long enough for the slime to wear off, that lasts 1 or 2 rounds, and making sure that no one dies, because if someone dies by Solution team, the person that is covering slime is gonna revive. And even if you don't like one, or you don't have one, like, oh, I don't have victim or Momon or Solution, you can replace them with Albedo, Anniversary Albedo. She's a healer. She's probably the healer with the highest amount of HP in the game, so she's almost like a tank. And not only that, but she offers an Indomitable with the ultimate. When someone's about to die, to survive with 1 point of HP for an entire round. And she also has on her passive 2 invulnerabilities that automatically activate on the allies that are about to die. So if I have the Albedo, I have Momons, Shizu, and Victim, and the enemy's focus Victim, when Victim is about to die, Albedo invulnerability is gonna pop, and Victim survives. If the enemy tries to make time until the invulnerability goes away, that it lasts for 2 rounds, for 2 turns, sorry. If they wait long enough, I can use Albedo ultimate on Victim, so he has Indomitable and he doesn't die for another extra round. And if they get annoyed and instead focus on Albedo and focus on another character, she still has a second invulnerability to give instantly. And if they, for example, let's say that after Victim they try to focus Momon, well, Momon has the vulnerability from Albedo and then his own way to avoid death. Or if they focus Shizu instead of Victim, Shizu activates the vulnerability from Albedo, and Shizu is a tank, so they will waste more resources trying to kill the hardest member to kill there. And if they go for Albedo, it's the same, because Albedo can use the invulnerability on herself. So you're having a very annoying team with a lot of ways to avoid death. So you can use Momon as a single target assassin to burst down an enemy like a healer. You can use Albedo to keep everyone alive, increase the critical damage of whoever you need. Shizu to increase everyone's magical defense, decrease all the enemy's magical defense, and control them. And you can use Victim to constantly explode in the face of the enemy and start dealing a lot of area of effect. In contrast to Momon, that it will be more a specialized assassin going from 1-1 and can perform assist, while Victim can kill everyone at once. And if you don't have, or you don't want on one of the ones that I told you, you can use Solution, another mage that can avoid death, has a lot of speed, hits very hard, very fast, and area of effect, so everyone gets hit at the same time. So you have a lot of characters to use, like really, really a ton of characters. And don't worry about the runes. You play with whatever you have. Like I have runes that are 100 level 140 or 180, and all of those things. Whatever you have here as your highest quality with the best sub attributes, just put it. Uh, Everything is useful in that department, so don't worry there. So yeah, you have multiple teams to play, and I'm gonna try to show in the next video after this one those teams. I have a lot of gameplay. I have like 50 minutes of gameplay from when I did the big team guide on how Shizu, big team, and some other characters on the same team can destroy the enemy before the enemies even have a turn. Maybe I'm gonna try to do it to add some other teams, like for example the hard team to get with Momon and Albedo. I didn't record it because Momon just released some days ago, and I did the gameplay for Shizu Guide like weeks ago, like 1 week or 2 weeks ago. But either I can add those gameplays and make the video like 1 hour and a half long, or I can throw the gameplays that I already have as the practical guide for Shizu and the compositions to play with her and around her, and then I can throw, I can record and publish or upload a second video with more specific themes, like the one that I told you with Momon, right? It will be like the second part, could be like 10 minutes, 20 minutes or so. But yeah, if you're waiting to see the teams in action and so, it's gonna be after this video, and it's a lot. Like honestly, the one that I already have is like 1 hour long. 1 hour long. I don't even have storage on my cell phone, so I don't know how I'm gonna finish to edit all the combats together. But I'm gonna do it, and then I'm gonna throw another one to show you, all the potential. And yeah, that will be like all for it. Sorry. Next guides are open to whatever request everyone has. I'm gonna try to cover all of these characters before the end of December. All of these at least. All the way up to, I think, the Dead Knight or to Lupus Regina. And the next guide is gonna go in some days. It's gonna be up in some days, and it's gonna be this solution to a subscriber's request. As you can see, I don't have her max on all of that, but I can upgrade her, and I already know how to play her, and I already know some of the strategies, like I already told you, so it won't be a problem. But yeah, because I already have the gameplay for Cicita, is that I'm doing the Cicita guide right now. So that's all for my part for now. Thanks for hearing all my rambling and my crazy combinations, my theories, compositions that I did. And thanks for hearing my awful voice coughing every 2 minutes or so. And yeah, until next time. And the same, the video about Shizu combats is gonna be up today, okay? So don't worry about that. So bye bye.